It's always an exciting time when Titleist bring out their brand new iron lineup, and today I'm reviewing every single one of the brand new iron sets. That actually did feel nice. Slam in. Oh! So why am I excited about testing the brand new Titleist T-Series irons? Well, it's the third generation of T-Series Titleist have brought out. I've been using the second series, the T100s, for quite a while, so I'm personally very intrigued to see if there's much of a difference moving into the brand new T100s, but there's some new irons in the lineup. The T150s, they are a supercharged version of the 100s. There's also the T200s, and then finally, I think this is a really exciting iron to test, the T350s. Titleist are claiming it's their best game improvement iron they have ever made. That's a bold shout. And you know what I like about this Titleist lineup? And this is where Titleist have really changed their strategy over the last few years. Many years ago, it was always about serious clubs for serious golfers. Well, now, with the T-Series, you've got a lineup that would attract every single ability of golfer. Like, I can imagine tour pros using the T100s and even the T150s, and then you've got your higher handicappers, you guys who are looking for more help in the T350 iron lineup as well. I feel like the spectrum is so massively wide and broad, which is why I think everyone watching this video is going to enjoy, because there's an iron in this lineup for every single type of golfer. Now, before I start reviewing the brand new lineup, I just want to hit a few shots with my current T100 irons first. I've enjoyed having these in the bag, I have. I feel like from a performance standpoint, they've given me solid performance. Sometimes it's user error more than the clubs. I would say my only criticism with the T100 irons is the feel. They're not the softest feeling irons in the world, but apart from that, I think looks-wise, they're so classic. Like, what's really interesting is when I ever see a brand new iron lineup replace an existing one, I always feel like the old one ends up then looking old. I don't think that's the case still with this T100 iron, the older version. It still looks as new, as fresh as even the new lineup. I don't feel like there's that much of a difference. Right, very classic looking, beautiful behind the ball. I'll just hit a couple just to get going, then we'll start testing the new ones. I mean, it's found the green. It was a little bit clean off the bottom, but that's kind of what I found with this club. It's got a level of forgiveness. I didn't strike that brilliant, but we still managed to find the green. That's a nice shot. Yeah, so all in all, I do like these irons. So I think this is a good exercise just to remind myself how this club feels and how it looks as I start to now review the brand new T lineup, almost the third iteration of the T series. They are nice irons, I must admit. I'd like them to feel a little bit softer, that's just a personal opinion. And maybe try and find a few more greens. That would also be nice as well. Right, that's the T100 that I've been using. Let's move into the brand new T100 lineup. So here we go, the new T100, and I've got to start off by saying, beautiful looking iron. Really clean, sleek, beautiful design. I think what the Titleist have done great with this lineup and previous lineups, in fairness, is that you could have a really blended set between the T100s, the 200s, the 150s and the 350s, and it wouldn't look weird in your bag. Beautiful looking iron. Behind the golf ball again, because I'm so familiar with the clubs that I've currently been using, they look exactly the same, they really do. Just, in fairness, shinier. So I've got the 9 iron in hand here. This is 42 degrees. So I've put a pin out there at 150, which is about the number I should be hitting. Let's give these a hit. I'm really intrigued to know about the feel of these irons. Oh, that was nice. I've just slightly drawn it over a touch. Good for distance, pin high. That actually did feel nice, really nice. Now, a couple of things that you need to know about these irons. These are designed for better players, so it's much more of a modern tour iron. So it's kind of your lower single figure handicappers to even your tour pros will be having this in the bag. The big thing, talking point with Titleist, these irons, precision control and unrivaled feel. I could definitely sense a little bit of a different feel with that first shot. And apparently as well, effortless turf interaction. The way that they've reshaped the bottom of this golf club. And I actually think that story continues through the whole iron lineup. God, they're nice weight. They look great behind the ball. Oh, slightly thin, that one. That'll be interesting. I didn't catch that brilliantly, but look how straight that is. I mean, as a bad strike, I'm taking that as a result every single day. They've also tweaked the tungsten placement in this iron to not only improve consistency on bad strikes, which we kind of just saw there a little bit as well, but to also improve the flight just in general. So far, so good. I like it. They look great behind the ball. Again, I'm so familiar to that look. It's not big, it's quite a slim top line. It's not huge from heel to toe. It's not like an overpowering iron. Let's hit a few more just to get my bearings on feel. A little bit diggy into the mat that time. Yeah, that was a weak shot. That was nice. It is a good flight. Front edge of the green. Stopped pretty quick as well. Right, let me do a little bit more hitting. I'm going to go through the 9, the 7 and the 5, collecting some numbers. And then it'd be good to compare it to the other sets, but also just to dive into numbers a little bit as well. So 7-iron next, again, looks so nice behind the ball. I would possibly argue, it's not much in it though, very slightly thinner top line on the 7 than the previous set, but listen, there's hardly anything in it at all. I'm expecting this to carry about kind of 170. If I was hit the middle of the face, that was a little bit thin. Tell you what, it's done well though. Wow, it's done really well. Okay, one more with the 7-iron. I've actually really been enjoying hitting this. There's been a couple of weak, low heely shots that have kind of fallen short right, but all in all, I've got to say they feel a little bit better than the previous set. Not much in it, but definitely an improvement. And performance has been nice. And look at that, what a flight. What a flight. Slam in. Oh! Hit the top of the flag. Yeah. If I can do that every time, we'll be laughing. Okay, last club in the T100s, the 5-iron. I do think they're a little bit slimmer, just top line, just certainly as we've gone through the set into the longer irons. They are stunning. I'm very impressed with the overall look of these irons. I think they've done an unbelievable job. Sole is probably just a smidgen wider. That might help with that turf interaction. And top line definitely is ever so slightly kind of slimmer or a different colorway or whatever it may be. Again, compared to the ones that I was using. I've gone 200 yards with the flag here. I think I should be able to carry this 5-iron on the front edge of this green. Oh, struck it so good, but it leaked out right. Yeah, 190 carry, struck that so nice. Interesting finish. Again, honestly, that was so bad a strike. And it's ran just onto the front edge. I can put it from there at least. That was a really low heel. It's very interesting. I do think this 5-iron, the first strike was pretty awesome, I must admit, but it definitely gives me a bit more of a bladey vibe. I'm not sure if that's a request from the better players. I must admit, when struck well, feels really nice. That's a nice carry. Like I say, just into that kind of mid 190 yard carry distance for me, 5 iron's good. And it'll be really interesting to see as we go through the set how that might change. Let's go a couple more. Cracking strike. Yeah, just overall, I would say the performance of the 5 iron, when struck really well, honestly felt incredible. I don't know whether it's just that thinner top line or that kind of look behind the ball just made me feel like I was finding it hard to gauge direction, which actually brings me very nicely on to the next irons in the lineup, the T150s. So here we go, the brand new iron. This has never been done before, the T150. Now this is really interesting iron actually, because in previous generations there's been a T100 S, and effectively the S is pretty much the same as the T100 but just stronger lofted, about 2 degrees stronger in loft, where the T150 is a completely different iron. The S is gone. The T150 is to kind of fill that void to a degree. And you know what? It's like a T100, but it's been bulking. It's almost been kind of blown up a little bit. Not to a huge effect, but just put a little bit of meat on the bone really, a bit of muscle on there. These irons are 2 degrees strong, so this 9 iron's 40 degrees in loft. I tell you what, even though it looks a little bit kind of bigger from behind here and on the bottom, top line is absolutely gorgeous. It's not that bulky as you look down at it. Now this is more of a golfer who's kind of maybe still single figure handicapper definitely, but starting to reach into that kind of mid-teen handicap. Right, I got 9 iron, let's give this a hit. I tell you what, considering it's stronger lofted, it still went absolutely sky high and stopped super quick. Actually felt quite nice. And I suppose to some degree, I feel like Titleist, when they moved to the T series, one of their most popular irons ever, the AP2, kind of got a little bit, that iron wasn't catered for anymore. That market wasn't really being hit. I think this is it. I think this is the AP2 replacement. Finally, after a few iterations of the T series, this looks like an AP2, and they were so popular. Even on my first 2 shots there, I've not hit them brilliant, don't get me wrong, but I found that to be much easier to hit. There's definitely a lot more forgiveness in this iron. Let's go a couple more with this 9 iron. Feels good, it doesn't feel that different to the T100. A little bit, what's the right description? Probably a little bit more powerful off the face, and that kind of power almost makes these irons feel a touch harder, firmer off the face, but they still feel good, don't get me wrong. They just feel like they're popping off the face a little bit faster, which I'm sure they are because of the extra size of club head, and then obviously the slightly stronger lofts. I don't feel like I have to hit this anywhere near as hard to hit this 150 green. In fact, I hardly hit that at all. I think that carried 154 yards, which is not really what I was getting out of the T100 irons. And then moving into the 7 iron, that's a good looking iron. That really is. Behind the golf ball, that is right up my street. It's nice that. It's bigger than the 100s definitely, but not much. It's not like it's an oversized iron. It just looks like it's got a little bit more help there. I've put the flag at 170 here. Now this 7 iron's 32 degrees of loft, a tiny bit stronger than the T100s. I think with ease, I'm going to be hitting this green, if not flying it towards the back of this green. That felt good. Definitely loud. I mean, I pulled, that's a shame. That's gone bloody miles. I don't know if the sound are just making them feel, because they're a little bit louder off the face, that kind of more of a crack, that powerful hit. Not sure if that's maybe quite translating into feel feel like a slightly louder crack off the face is making these feel a touch firmer. But again, very marginal, very, very small differences. That'll be interesting. I hit that really bad. I hit that way off the bottom of the club. That's pretty good. I hit that really, really poor and it still carried 168. Well, that was kind of the distance I was getting with the T100s, and that was honestly really bad strike. That's nice. Loads of height, right over the flag, and stops quick enough. Quick enough. I like that. Let's go a couple more. Okay, so I've had to drag myself away from hitting more 7-irons with that T150. Really, really liked it, I did. There was a couple out there that I gave them a hit and they flew, but super easy to hit. I'm excited now to test this. This is the 5-iron in the T150. Again, just slightly bigger in size. My criticism of the T100s was that 5-iron was a little bit too slim. Oh, that's nice. Oh yeah, that's nice. It's just got a little bit of extra padding just on that top line. They've done a great job. I think the irons just look phenomenal. Now this 5-iron is 25 degrees. I've put the pin out at 200 yards. I think comfortably I'll be reaching that pin, even with bad strikes is my guess. Oh, there we go. That's how we're gonna find out. That was a terrible strike. Really low off the bottom. Yeah, not quite got there, but no, it has, to be fair. In total distance, it did get there. That was a horrendous strike. I might have preempted that one. That carried 186, and honestly, I caught the bottom of the bottom groove. That's pretty good. That's pretty impressive considering how bad that shot was. I'm excited to find the middle of this. Oh, closer to the middle. A little bit leaky, but great for distance. Wow, really good for distance. Oh, yes. Inject that into my veins, because that is literally, that's one of the best 5-irons of it for a long, long, long time. 202 carry, but it was more the flight. Like, it just came out like an absolute bullet. It landed fairly softly. As I'm starting to hit more of these irons, again, it's not a massive difference, but I'm very dialed in with my previous set. They do feel better. And this 5-iron, I mean, that's an absolute rocket. That felt really good. Wasn't quite as good a strike, but look at that. And that's going to go in the hole, and I genuinely thinned it. Oh, let's go 2 more. Height on that. Slam. Oh. Literally putting pitch marks next to the hole from 200 yards away. I tried to hit that one just a little bit harder. I didn't catch it, but the flight it got, how high it climbed into the air. That was what I was really impressed with. Right, one more, and you have to drag me off hitting these 150s and moving into the next set. Tiny bit of a pull, but again, wouldn't be too disappointed. Landing and just holding the back edge of the green. Okay, so let's dive into some numbers before we move on to the next sets, because I think the T100s and 150s are going to be what people are interested in, the difference. We see here the 9-irons. The big standout for me is the carry distance straight off the bat. Gained 9 yards of carry distance with the T150s. But what's really interesting there, you could argue that's stronger lofts. Yes, that's helping a bit of that. But you look at the actual height of the T150s, much, much higher. The descent angle as the ball landed into the green was steeper. The ball's going to stop quicker. And to be honest, there's nothing really I could grumble at with the T150s. Ball speed was up 5 miles per hour. Launch angle was high. Spin rate dropped off a tiny bit by 500 RPM due to the loft, I would imagine. But apart from that, the ball would stop and carry. And what's interesting as well, if I even just go on club speed there, you can see the difference in the club head speed is less than half a mile per hour. So I was swinging, granted the T100s, half a mile per hour faster to gain 9 yards of difference in distance. That's pretty staggering, that really is. And you know what's mad looking through the board there, the 7-iron is almost a similar story. Gained 5 yards of carry distance, 169 with the T100, still pretty good, I'd be happy with that. But the difference there, the T150 is 174. Ball speed slightly up, spin rate slightly down on the T150s. You can kind of just see a bit of a pattern emerging there. Like, yes, you're going to gain a little bit more distance with the T150s, a little bit more height. For me, I found them just easier to hit as well. It's interesting. I'm not kind of quizzing now who would potentially, bar the looks, and I think some would argue some of certainly the better players, tour players, really, really low handicappers would possibly prefer the look of the T150. When you actually look at numbers, there's nothing that would stop you using the T150s, to be honest. And even just looking at the 5-iron there, I gained 9 yards of carry distance again with the T150s. To be honest, neither of the clubs I would be hugely upset about. Like, the T150s are hitting exactly where I'd want to hit my 5-iron at 190. But for really less effort, I felt like I was hitting the ball easier and softer. I gained more ball speed, more distance, more height, better descent angle, slightly lower spin, but so be it. It's really interesting. What I'm going to do, in this video, I was going to review all of the 4 sets of irons, but I'm going to save them. I'm going to save the other 2 sets because I think they sit in a different category. What's interesting for me, let me just pull this bag out. What I feel like I'd want to do is, the 5-iron, longer irons for me, probably 5, 6, and even 7-iron would have to be the T150s. I cannot personally see why I'd benefit from using the T100s there. Where I might throw in the T100s would be like maybe the pitching wedge, maybe the 9-iron. Tell you what, and again, it looks great in the bag together. Like, they don't look that different at all. Like, the way that they styled them is great. I think Titleist has done a super job in the looks of these irons. Feel, I think, has improved definitely. I think the T150 is a real powerhouse. I mean, the TaylorMade P790s is one of the most popular irons ever in the last few years. I think it's got a new competitor. I really do. In not even a hollow head design, I think the T150s are a huge competitor. That's not even getting into T200 yet, or T350s. That might be where those longer irons sit. Stay tuned for another video coming soon of those 2. I feel like they need the respect, the time that they deserve. Guys, thanks for watching the video. Hopefully you enjoy it. Be sure to subscribe to the H.I.T YouTube channel. Be sure to like the video. And also stay tuned. There's a few little Easter egg comments we've been putting at the end. See if yours gets mentioned. Guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Lots more to come. We'll see you next time.